Hey Run Junkies, it is Global Running Day, so I hope you had a chance to get some miles in today, or if you haven't yet, that you will before the end of the day today. Now, I have a special video episode today, but before I get to that, in honor of Global Running Day, I encourage you to check out our podcast, where Jen and I talked to our very good friend, Meredith Rice, who earlier this year ran the London Marathon. We talked with her about her experiences in preparing for that, what it was like to run this amazing major marathon event. I've left links to all of the current podcast services that we are listed on that are currently available in the description below. This interview is in two parts. The first part is already up on Global Running Day, June 5th. That is Wednesday. Tomorrow we will post the second part of the marathon itself, and that will be posted on Thursday, June 6th. Please check out the links in the description below, and please subscribe to the podcast, rate, and review. Okay, now on to my celebration of Global Running Day, and I'm gonna do this a bit backwards because it's not just about celebration, it's about what keeps us from running, things like injuries. Now, recently I did a whole video about the common running injuries, and today I want to talk specifically about runner's knee or patellofemoral pain syndrome. Patellofemoral, that word right there. That word right there. Patellofemoral pain syndrome. I knew I was gonna get it. Recently, I was diagnosed with this very common injury for runners, and today I wanna take a deeper dive into runner's knee. First up though, the disclaimers. I am not a doctor. I got this information from my visit to my doctor. This is the information he gave me, along with some physical therapy exercises that I could do. I'm just passing this information along to you. This video is not meant to be a diagnosis or treatment plan. If you are experiencing pain or discomfort during your run, please go to a live physical doctor that will help you diagnose and treat whatever that injury may be. Because it may sound like runner's knee, but it might not actually be what that is. Social media is not a place for diagnosis. For the purposes of this video, I am exclusively using the information that my doctor gave me in this packet. So what is runner's knee? Well, in short, it's pain behind the kneecap that usually occurs during running, cycling, or other kinds of jumping sports. Runner's knee is a misnomer because even non-runners can get this kind of pain symptom. Your kneecap is attached to the larger muscles of the quads, the thigh muscles above the knee, and the shin bones. Repeated bending and straightening of that joint can cause irritation behind the kneecap. Now, that said, I want to point out something in this information that relates to the cause of runner's knee. Now, I quote, "Patellofemoral pain syndrome also may result from the way your hips, legs, knees, or feet are aligned. This alignment problem can be caused by your having wide hips or underdeveloped thigh muscles, being knock-kneed, or having feet with arches that collapse when walking or running, a condition called overpronation." Did you hear this? May also result, not specifically from running only. Runner's knee is a misnomer. It could just be how you're built. I personally am knock-kneed, and I have not been developing my quad muscles the way I should be as a runner. That is what led to runner's knee. It wasn't the volume of running. It was the lack of strength training and how I'm built. Symptoms of runner's knee include, like I said, pain behind the kneecap, usually when you are standing from a sitting position after you've been sitting for a long time, perhaps descending stairs or going downhill. You might also experience this pain if you are doing any kind of jumping sports like basketball, stopping and starting like playing tennis, or if you are doing some kind of cross training like Orange Theory or CrossFit, where you are doing lots of jumping exercises. That kind of movement can aggravate runner's knee. Personally, it's worse for me when I get up in the morning and take those first few steps downstairs, or when I get up from a sitting position after sitting for a long time. I also have a tendency to sit with my feet folded underneath me, which actually aggravates the problem quite a bit. It's one of the reasons why I got my standing desk. Diagnosis, as I said, should only be done by a doctor. Now, your doctor may order an x-ray or some kind of MRI to really diagnose what the problem is. A good orthopedist or sports physician will basically be able to ask you a few questions and say, I know exactly what this is. So how do you treat runner's knee? Again, your doctor will prescribe the appropriate treatment for you. This information talks about icing your knee for 20 to 30 minutes every 3 or 4 hours for the first couple of days. It talks about elevating your knee with a pillow underneath your leg when it hurts. You might take anti-inflammatory pain medication if that's appropriate for you, maybe some ibuprofen. And then do physical therapy exercises. Later on in this video, I am going to show you some of the physical therapy exercises that my doctor prescribed to me. Again, this is not a comprehensive video. It's just the information I received from my doctor. Lastly, it's important to follow your doctor's recommendations for whether or not you should stop running or slow down or reduce your volume of running. In my case, I was told I could still run, but not exclusively run. I needed to add some more cross training and strength training into my regimen, and that's why triathlon comes at the perfect time. The cross training between cycling and swimming will help me rehabilitate my knee. So a couple of short runs mixed in will help keep my running fitness up, but I can still stay fit doing these other sports. Now, if I had let this injury go much longer or increase my volume or my intensity in training, I would probably have made it much worse and I would have had to stop running. And if you are experiencing any of these symptoms, that might be the case for you. That's why it's important for you to go to your doctor and ask what you need to be doing going forward. So how long does it take to recover from this injury? Well, first off, that depends on the seriousness. How long have you been experiencing these symptoms? How bad are they? And that will determine your recovery rate. How far back do you have to work to get yourself back to health? And just like this injury is caused in part by your biomechanics, it might be due to those biomechanics that will also be a determining factor in your rate of recovery. How close are you going to stick to your physical therapy regimen? How are you going to handle your running and sports and fitness going forward? No matter what, you can't rush the recovery. Your body will heal on its terms. So if you are consistent with your physical therapy without overdoing it, if you follow your doctor's recommendations for how to treat it, you will likely make your recovery as smooth as possible. But how do you know that you've recovered from your injury? Well, the best bet is to go back in for a follow-up with your doctor or physical therapist, and they will help you determine whether or not you are ready to begin increasing volume again in that sport, or if you need a little bit more time in recovery. Basically, if you can bend and straighten your knee without pain or discomfort, if you can jump or run or do squats, anything like that without any kind of pain or discomfort, then you're probably well on your way to recovery. And when you're coming back from recovery, increase volume slowly. Don't push it right out of the gate. You've been injured. It's going to take a while to get back up to the volume that you were at before you got the injury. Now, I would imagine the biggest question is this: how do you prevent runner's knee? Basically, you do the strength training that benefits you as a runner. Your quads, your hips, your glutes, your core, do those consistently in a manner that helps you as a runner. Also, getting fit for the right shoes from a shoe fit specialist is a great way to prevent injuries of any kind. You can check out this video right here for how to get fit for shoes. Okay, now that we've talked about runner's knee, I want to show you some of the exercises, the physical therapy exercises that my doctor gave me to do. Now, generally speaking, you would do 3 sets of 10 of each of these exercises. You may not be able to do that right away, so work up to that. Do the best you can and work up to that. Now, these are also exercises you can do to prevent runner's knee. If you already have it, this is where you start. If you don't want to get it, you can do some of these. So the first exercise is a stretch. It's a standing hamstring stretch. I'm going to use my son's step stool because it's the perfect height. You want to keep your hips straight and square to the step. Put one foot on top with the ankle flexed, and then lean forward until you feel a stretch in the hamstring. You don't want to lean over and hunch your shoulders. Keep your back flat and feel that stretch in the back of the hamstring and the glute. I'm gonna do the other side so you can see that a little better, okay? Keep your hips square, lean forward. Hold this stretch for 15 to 30 seconds. The next stretch is a quadriceps stretch. Now this is a challenge when you have runner's knee. If you are feeling those symptoms, do not force this stretch because it will put more stress and strain on the back of that kneecap. So just be careful. Hey, can you go away? All right. So the standing quadricep stretch is that you hold on to your ankle and you're not pulling back with your arm. You're kind of settling in, you're letting your quadriceps just stretch, and you might want to push your hips out a little bit to feel that stretch in the front of the quadriceps. 15 to 30 seconds on each side. Now again, notice I'm not holding on to the top of my foot. I'm holding on around the ankle where I'm not actually putting stress on the ankle. I'm actually holding on to the lower calf. The next exercise is the side lying leg lift. So very jazzercise. You can either prop up your head like so, or you can rest it on your arm. I prefer to have it up. I'm gonna bend my lower leg just ever so slightly, but I want a straight line from my head all the way down to my feet. I'm gonna lead the lift with my heel so I can feel it right here in my piriformis. So it's kind of a side and back instead of straight up and down. I'm gonna do 10 sets of these. And it's nice and slow too. So I'm gonna feel it not only here in the hip and the piriformis, but also up here in the side panel of the abdominal muscles too. The next set begins a quad set. And what I'm gonna do is actually just contract the quadriceps muscles on top here. All I'm going to do is lift my foot off the floor. I'm going to flex these muscles and lift my foot off the floor. Then hold it for 10 seconds. So yeah, and it hurts after a while. And then you rest and you do it again. 1, 2, 3, and so on. It's not a big move. So this is the working leg right now. You can see all of the muscles in the top of the quad, flex, and then relax. And then do it again. 3 sets of 10 on each side. Okay, the next set is a straight leg raise. I've got my legs in a 90-degree angle, bent at the knee, feet flat on the floor, and I'm leaning back on my elbows. Now all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna keep my knees at the same level, and I'm gonna lift one leg off the floor, just like that. So this is the set. You're gonna flex your foot, lift your leg, keep your knees at the same level, and try to keep that moving leg as still as possible. You definitely feel it on these top quadriceps muscles. The next set is a side step up. Now I'm not using a very high bench, but you can, when you have progressed and this starts to feel comfortable, you can start raising up the bench a little bit more. One leg at a time. Now you're just gonna step up and use your glutes and your quads to push yourself up. Your knee should not pop out over the edge of your toes. You should be able to look down and see your toes at all times. All you're doing is pushing yourself up onto the step using those glute and quadriceps muscles. Now, the biggest issue that we see is that you don't want that move to be in the hip. You notice that my hip drops. You want to keep your hips at the same level and use the glutes and the quadriceps to lift yourself up. The next one is a ball wall squat. So I'm going to put the ball against the wall. I'm going to lean against it with my lower back. I want to keep my feet hip width apart or slightly wider, and I'm going to keep my feet out a little bit further. When I squat down, I'm going to keep my knees over my feet, and I'm not going to allow my knees to curl in like this. So take the ball down. Now I should have a 90-degree angle, and I want to protect my lower back, so I want to contract my abs and push back up. It's hard to do this and talk at the same time. So come back down and back up. And really, you should feel this right here in those lower quadriceps muscles right above the kneecap. This, strengthening these muscles are what's going to keep that runner's knee at bay. The bottom line is this: runner's knee is one of the most common running injuries, but it is not caused exclusively by running, and it is not exclusive to runners. It is preventable, it is treatable. It starts with your biomechanics, how you were brought into this world. You can't really change that, but you can compensate for it by doing the strength training that you need as a runner. You can keep running as long as you do the maintenance and strength training that will help you do that better. My question for you today is this: have you ever dealt with runner's knee, and how have you dealt with it? Are you experiencing it right now? Please leave thoughts, questions, comments, and suggestions in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that thumbs up if you like this video. Check out the links in the description below to our podcast. Again, we are talking with our very good friend Meredith Rice today and tomorrow. That's gonna be it for me today, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Until I see you next time, go find your awesome, and happy Global Running Day. Next exercise is trying to get the dog out of the way. Hi. Okay.
Dog, you're in the way.
Hey, Miko, come.